Hi, and welcome back to Small Caps. My name is Jess Furtick. I'm your host, and today it is my pleasure to welcome back Andrew Vigar, who is the Executive Chair of Terra Uranium. The company's ticker code is T92. Hi, Andrew. It's great to have you back on the show.
It's a pleasure, Jess, and it's nice to talk to you again.
Now, Andrew, the last time we caught up, we spoke a bit about Terra Uranium's diversification into tin, gold, and silver with your LCT acquisition. Can you remind our small caps audience what the strategic rationale was for this multi-commodity shift from uranium to these other assets, and how it will impact Terra's growth and risk profile?
Yeah, sure, Jess. It's interesting because we're operating in Canada in the sort of subarctic up there. The work seasons are very short, so we can really only work in the winter when everything's frozen, or in the middle of summer when we can access things with helicopters very easily and the snow's melted. That really leaves about half the year when we're not doing very much. As an ASX listed company and being based in Australia, we started looking around for other opportunities. We've always been very keen on tin, tungsten, and also precious metals, both and particularly opportunities in areas that have been perhaps a little bit overlooked in the past and that we can operate locally. And that really led us into the New England district in northern New South Wales. We're very fortunate to have acquired the Ottery project, which is very near to First Tin's developing project at Taronga. It's only 10 kilometres away, similar geology. And of course, it's got silver, significant silver credits. And the area is known for silver and base metals. And in fact, you'd know about the recent deal that's been done on the Webb silver mine just south of Emmaville. It's only about 40 kilometres from where we are, which was a major acquisition going into a new company there. So we think we're ahead of the curve there, as we like to be. And we'll continue to develop this sort of dual approach in different commodities in different areas, really focused on different climates, different parts of the world, but always tier one. We're very much focused on tier one areas of the world. So Australia, Canada, US.
Yeah, fantastic, Andrew. So now before we chat a little bit about your Canadian assets, which you've had more news on, just on your Ottery Mine or your Ottery project that you've just acquired, can you tell us a little bit about what exploration you've completed over there to date and what your plans are near term in terms of that project?
Yeah, so we've visited site. We've had a look at it. It's in good condition. It has some heritage areas over part of it. We've engaged a local geologist to act for us in the field. Very, very experienced guy who's actually worked on the project before in the last major drilling program, which is a big plus. We've also engaged tenement people and land access people, and we've started negotiations with the New South Wales government. We are in Australia now, so things unfortunately take a long time. And in New South Wales in particular, we have to engage with the landowners, including the government, because it's Crown land where the old Ottery Mine is, to prepare a proposal for a drilling program at Ottery. And we're also looking at Castle Rag as well, which is a silver deposit, very similar to the Webb's project. So we're negotiating, we're planning, but I've got to tell investors it's going to take a while. So we're really 3 to 6 months away from rigs turning, but we will be targeting it right into those areas where we know there's good results in the past. So once we get access, we'll be in there as soon as we possibly can.
Fantastic, Andrew. But the company's certainly not slowing down at all because while you're waiting for permitting in New South Wales, and I guess this is the benefit of having this multi-commodity strategy across jurisdictions, is that, Terra Uranium is preparing for drilling at its Spire and Horizon projects in Canada. So, Andrew, based on your recent airborne surveys that you've done over there, what are your high priority targets that you'll be targeting for that drilling program at Spire and Horizon?
Thanks very much, Jess. We put out a little announcement on Monday just pointing out that we are advancing those projects. That's a option agreement with ATHA Energy, which is a much larger company than us, listed in Canada. We knew they were prospective for uranium, and they still are. There's some very nice boulder samples in that area with up to 2-3% uranium at surface. We were focusing on areas that were quite shallow, which are sort of within our budget range to test. Our major projects inside the basin at depth, they're multi-million-dollar projects. And as a junior, that's not something we can work in. So we optioned those out to ATHA. So we're working on Spire and Horizon. We've got some good uranium showings. Interestingly enough, it's also showing for base metals as well, particularly copper, lead, zinc. We've approached the Saskatchewan government for some drilling assistance, and we suspect that will come through. Doug Engdale, who's one of our directors, along with Troy Marfleet, who's our exploration manager in Canada, are working through that progressing that. I suspect we'll be drilling on those projects later this year. So again, as you pointed out, it's once it starts to freeze over and we can get in there, it's a nice mix between the two areas, and we have separate teams. So we have an Australian team, which we've just put together, and then also the Canadian team, keeping overheads down as we always do, but also employ local people. If you want to have success in an area, get the local guys who really know what's going on, and as I say, we're doing that on both Australia and Canada.
Yeah, absolutely, Andrew. Now, you mentioned that the survey identified base metals potential. How will the company integrate this base metals potential with your uranium focus over there in Canada? And how will you integrate it with your 2025 drill program?
Yeah, it's an interesting. I mean, base metals in Canada is not our focus. But then the Saskatchewan government are very keen on base metals. There's mines like Flin Flon, which are also in Saskatchewan. Being geologists, of course, we always have an eye out for other commodities. We look after the interests of the shareholders. We're not chasing base metals, but if the Saskatchewan government are going to fund us to do drilling on them, then we'll drill it. You never know, we might have some success. They are pretty decent grades, and it is an area with very, very successful mines in that commodity. But we'll stay focused on uranium in Canada.
Okay, fantastic. And then also, Andrew, you also have a 100% owned HawkRock project.
Got it.
And that's a high priority target for the company as well. Can you tell us what the key objectives are for that project? What sort of exploration programs you've got lined up for that? What are we looking for?
Yeah, look, we're looking on working that probably even sooner. That'll be this summer, so we're talking sort of July, August. That's much shallower in the basin. It's inside the basin. It's one of our original 3 projects when we listed the company. It's shallower, so we're looking at 250 to 400 metre depths, so within our sort of range. We've done airborne work on it. It's really highlighted it. We've got some neighbours who are doing work on that area this summer, so they are a very well-funded company out of London. We're talking to them about a joint venture. We'd really like to replicate what we did with Passfield, where we had an earn-in type arrangement where another company funds the work, but very much targeted on those major tier 1, very large discoveries like MacArthur or Cigar Lake, the really, really big ones. And we've got nice signs there at surface. If somebody wants to fund a drilling program for us, by all means, go right ahead. We own 100% of it, as you pointed out. We're in a strong position there. There are no royalties. So if we can get, I think we're close. I can't talk about it today, but I think we're close. We've done it already with Passfield. We'll do it again.
Fantastic, Andrew. And now, just on that, how is the company going to sort of focus its priorities across the 2 jurisdictions, across New South Wales and Canada, in terms of dividing its resources and, across your portfolio?
Yeah, we'd very much like to focus the Canadian work with joint ventures and option arrangements like we have with ATHA. We'd like to have 2 or 3 of those running, coordinated by Doug and Troy and his team at Axiom in Canada. They're local guys. They understand the ground. They know what everyone's doing. So we'll continue to do that. And we'd like it funded either that way or possibly a small bit of flow through, which is also beneficial to shareholders. Whereas in Australia, we would be funding it ourselves, at least at this stage. If we can prove Ottery up, or if we can find another acquisition, we're always on the lookout for other projects in the area. The guys at First Tin are doing a great job with Taronga. That they telling us they'll have that production, 2 to 3 years away. It's going to become a very active mining area and a big producer of tin tungsten. So that's another commodity that's very, very much in demand these days. So we think we're well placed in two distinctions, and you never know, we might find a silver mine in the process.
That's the dream. And Andrew, just before we finish off on the Canadian stuff, how long will it take for investors to sort of start seeing some initial results come through in terms of your exploration program that you've just commenced or you're just about to commence?
In Canada or here?
Yes, in Canada.
In Canada, we'll be announcing the geophysics. It's taken quite a while to do the final processing, and then the program for the summer. So we're putting that together. As I say, we're working very hard on getting a partner in for that. I suspect people will see action on that before the end of June, so that we'll be able to announce something, and we'll be in there doing that work. So it's very close. Knowing how slow it is to get permitting in New South Wales, I suspect quicker than we can do things in Australia because they're already drill permitted. I should point out to investors, we don't need permitting; they're already permitted.
Yeah, that's certainly really useful, Andrew, and makes a lot of sense now on my initial question about that multi-commodity focus across the two jurisdictions. It's really handy that. Andrew, just before we finish, just want to ask you our usual question of 2 to 3 investment highlights as to why we should invest in T92.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're still big believers in uranium. It's turning. We think it's bottomed at around the $60 mark. It's up around 71 today. Keep posted. It's really going to take off. I know I've been saying that for 6 months, but it will happen because there is a huge shortage, a massive global shortage in uranium. People are going nuclear. I know Australia's lagging, but we will catch up. We will have nuclear reactors in Australia eventually, and it's a commodity that's in short demand. At the same time, we're looking at tin tungsten, which is another thing that's in enormous demand. Tin is used in solder and electronics. If we want to go electrical in the world, all those little soldered connections, they've all got tin in them. It's the main component of that, and it again is in short demand. So there are two things we're focusing on. If we pick up a bit of silver or base metals or gold along the way, we'll always keep an eye out for it. We're always looking for value for shareholders, but it's not our main focus. But who knows? And then we'll split that funding between joint ventures and funding from other sources for Canada, and then funding the basic groundwork in Australia, which is we can do within our budgets.
Yeah, fantastic, Andrew. You certainly got the right commodities of focus at the moment with uranium, as you mentioned. Fundamentals are there, lots of support from the American government, Australia lagging a little bit, but definitely a lot of news flow over there. Your projects are in Canada, so that helps.
Yeah.
And obviously in your base metals and precious metals and tungsten, as you mentioned before as well. Well, thank you so much, Andrew. It's always such a pleasure catching up with you, and really looking forward to hearing what you've got on next, and having a catch up, hopefully to hear about some of your exploration results that come out from your Canadian drill programs.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be on again soon, Jess. Thank you very much.